On today's show, we look to the skies at Blake Planetarium, learn how a herring runs, and talk about upcoming things to do in our South Shore towns. You can get the bad news in lots of places. On the local scene, it's all about what's good and good to know. I'm Elizabeth. Let's get started. The only 4K full-dome planetarium south of Boston, Blake Planetarium, here in Plymouth, is a birthplace of wonder, education, and entertainment. We went on the local scene to learn more.
I remember my first experience. It was at the Museum of Science in Boston. I must have been probably 7 or 8 years old. I walked in, I got that Fenway Park experience. I got, wow, this is something.
My first planetarium visit could have been when I was in this job and we went to Boston. And I went to Boston to do research on our planetarium and how could we improve it. And I was just blown away at what they used the planetarium for. And again, not just to see astronomy, space science, earth science pieces. It can be a multi-purpose space. It can extend beyond that. And I don't think we ever looked at it that way before because of the technology we had in here. And I think part of that went towards the reason why we were able to get an upgrade and do the things that we do in here now.
I guess sometime in the 70s it was probably built. At the time, there were numerous planetariums that were being built around the country because, it was the space age, you know. In 2017, there was a major overhaul where the guts of the thing was taken out and replaced with new computerized projectors, and the capabilities just blossomed from there. There are 2 projectors. The issue is trying to get the 2 images to blend nicely. That's the difficulty. So we have computers running one projector, a computer running the second projector, a third computer that synchronizes those 2 so that everything that's shown stays in sync and blends together. There's a seam right across the center of the dome. They've done such a tremendous job that you can't see where these seams come together. It's a seamless view. The computers allow us to do a lot more than the original planetarium projector back in Dr. Blake's day. We're no longer stuck to just the sky. We can go into space, and the options are tremendous. You walk in and you just get this sense of a different area here. Once they start seeing the science behind it, hopefully in an entertaining way, some of our programs are incredibly well produced. They're incredibly entertaining and educational as well.
Our number one priority is actually the school kids of Plymouth. So during the school hours of the day, we're entertaining students from all across Plymouth. They come by bus, they come here, they enjoy their programs, go back. When we look beyond the school day hours, we're open to the public for whatever we think is going to interest them. So it might be, oh, we're landing, on the moon, so let's do something around the Apollo. Or we have, it's the dead of winter and we want to do something around meditation, we'll do something there. February vacation is coming up, so we'll feature children programs. So what we're trying to do is really meet the needs or the interests of the community, but it can run the gamut from astronomy to life science to earth science to physical science. We can do anything in here. We can actually do non-science programs as well. So it's really just a matter of what folks are interested in, what we see people buying tickets for.
My primary purpose is to try and clarify the misconceptions. So it's important that people know that the sun doesn't come straight up from the horizon, that it's not directly overhead at noontime, that the seasons aren't due to the fact that we're closer to the sun or farther from the sun. The facility of the planetarium makes it just unbelievably easy to reconnect those conceptions, to make them no longer misconceptions, but to understand how it actually works.
Steve's Friday shows, the first Fridays that we do the beginning of every month, they come back again and again and again for that program, and it sells out. Our programs we had around the holidays sold out, and people, can you do more? And I'm like, we don't have the resources right now to do that, but we do have other programs, so please, check out the schedule and come on back. I think the benefits of getting to come here the benefit is, one, you don't have to drive into Boston to do it, right? Like we are here, we are so close to everything, but that greater benefit is just that appreciation for the world that you may not know about. And again, because we can offer programming in so many different areas, we can give folks appreciation for things that some people have never even heard about, or you've heard comments like dark matter before, but you don't know what that is. Come and check it out for 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and see what it's all about. You never know what that might interest you in terms of picking up a book or watching a follow-up program or coming back here for another program.
I want them to get a feel for where they are within the universe, because we are part of the universe. Every atom in our bodies, with the exception of hydrogen, was made inside of some burning star billions of years ago, which exploded. And the material went into space and collected into new stars. And when a third or fourth generation star like our sun formed and the planets formed around it, and we formed on that, we essentially are star stuff, which is a Carl Sagan quote. We are the universe experiencing the universe. And that sense is something that I hope that they take away.
I want people to take away that lifelong learning aspect. I want people to be interested enough, to be honest, to come back. It's such a reasonably priced experience that, it is something that you can come to and check it out. You can come back and bring your children. You can come back and bring a family member who's visiting from out of town. We want you to seriously consider it over and over again. Even our First Friday program, it's different each month. Like, we're current with the night sky. You take that, you come back, and then maybe you go home and maybe you install Star Walk on your own phone and you appreciate it more. And you come here and then you start to ask questions. And again, that lifelong love of learning and just enjoying something that you maybe never thought you would.
I hope that they take away a sense of awe. If you go outside on a nice clear night and look up at the stars, everybody says, "Oh, isn't that beautiful?" Well, nowadays you don't get that view around here. I mean, we're in a light polluted area. There are lots of lights out there. And because of that, you don't really get a great view of the sky. You could go to Arizona or New Mexico, I guess, and get some fantastic sky. But if you're here in New England, you're not going to get that sky. But here in the planetarium, we've got it. We've got that sky, and we can show people what the sky really looks like. We can also then talk about the problem of light pollution, or again, any other issue that we'd like to. But just the sense of, wow, that's awesome. That's what I live for.
For a calendar of public programs, visit the Blake Planetarium Eventbrite page. Sharks. History, culture, and media have fueled the reputation of our most feared cartilaginous fish. But there is so much more to know and understand about this apex predator. On March 10th, from 7 to 9 p.m., join Dr. Gregory Skamal at the First Parish Church in Duxbury for Living with Sharks. Dr. Skamal currently heads up the Massachusetts Shark Research Program and has a 35-year history of leading research in the behavior, ecology, and physiology of this carnivorous fish. The discussion will examine why the coast of Cape Cod sees white sharks and how residents can live with, not in fear of, these creatures. All proceeds from the event will benefit the Cedar Hill Retreat Center. For tickets and more information, visit cedarhillcenter.org and click on the Events tab. Celebrate School Vacation Week with togetherness, fresh air, and fun for the family with the new Massachusetts State Parks Free Family Programs Guide. It's loaded with activities ranging from habitat hikes, nature presentations, craft projects, and more. From eastern Massachusetts to the western part of our state, there's something for every area and everyone in the family. Find a list of all that's happening at mass.gov/DCR and click on the links to February Vacation Week programs. Braving the icy waters of Plymouth Harbor, donors, sponsors, and plungers have raised over $1.4 million for the Cancer Center at BID Plymouth. And there's still time for you to sign up for the 2023 Jordan Hospital Polar Plunge. At 21 years and counting, this year's event will take place at 10 a.m. on March 4th at Nelson Memorial Park. Register today to take the plunge. Visit jordanhospitalclub.org. Spring is coming, and in our area, that means the herring will soon be running. We head back to Town Brook with Tiff and Warden Nate Christofari to learn about the herring, how they're counted, and how you can sign up to help count them.
So how did this process of counting herrings start?
So it started back in 2008. We have data on Town Brook since 2008. Every single year since then, we have volunteers that have shown up and done the counts for us. And it really was just the precursor to trying to track this population and ensure that the population of herring and the riverine system in of itself are all staying healthy. So we wanted to make sure that if there's a decrease in population, are we able to, and when I say we, I mean the state and all these partner agencies, are able to kind of track down and see what that result is, why the population are dropping. We do know that there's direct correlations to over-harvesting, whether it's downstream or it's in the river system, legally or illegally, as it could be, or dams that are in place, or nutrient loading, pollution. There's all sorts of different things that can affect their population. So if we are able to collect that data every year in Town Brook and then the hundreds of other locations across the state, we can really look at that population as a whole in Massachusetts and track how it's doing.
So how many people usually volunteer every year?
So it varied. Obviously, during the pandemic, we dropped a little bit, but for the most part, somewhere between 25 and 35, which is great. It's a great number of volunteers we have.
So is it all walks of life, and people from all ages?
Yeah, we have elementary school kids that will come down maybe once a week after school. We have a lot of retired folks that are looking to get out during the nicer months, so it's a great way to do it. And then people in our office will come down during lunch, so it really is, it covers the gambit of ages. And it really doesn't matter how old you are, as long as you can count, that's all we really need to do. And we give people tally counters too if they need it, but it's a pretty simple process.
How do people sign up?
They can contact our department directly, or they can contact me directly. My email's on our town website. But I usually send out an email to the previous year herring counters. I put like an email list together just so I can keep everybody updated. I'll send out an email usually around February of that next coming year to alert everyone, hey, start thinking about it, it's coming up again. To get the word out, we'll post stuff on our website, on our Instagram page, and just try and recruit volunteers however we can.
So what's the importance of actually counting these fish while they migrate?
There's a lot of different reasons that we're doing it. Like I said before, it's a state program where we're trying to track the population across all of Massachusetts. Now, years ago, there was a legal fishery for herring in the river. You could actually come down to Newfield Street here in Plymouth and actually take them out, and the town and the state would give them to people. And for the most part, they were used for striper bait. They're basically like candy for stripers. But because the populations had declined so drastically in 2006, there was a moratorium put on them, so it made harvest illegal. And so we have to protect that resource. If you lose that food source, then everything up the chain can sort of collapse. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen. So in order to collect the data, we do these projects, and then we can also use that data to put towards dam removals and river restorations, and we can show the population's increasing, and that's good, which we're trying to get that population to increase. But we also know if over tracking over time, not just in Town Brook, but across the state, if the population starts to decline, okay, we have to start doing something else to address it. Now, ideally, with all these management practices, we would get that population back to a level where harvest could be allowed again, and then, that's fantastic. We're a little ways away from that right now, but that's basically the goal, is to get that population high enough that, they don't need that management anymore. The commercial fishermen out in the harbor and out in the ocean have actually been a pretty big help. They don't want to catch the herring as bycatch. They can only have a certain percent of their targeted species end up as bycatch. So it's in their best interest to not catch them, just like it's in the herring's best interest not to be caught. So a lot of times what they're doing out there is communicating with each other, telling each other where these big schools of herring are in the ocean, basically to avoid them. And then that just helps them come up a little bit more unimpeded, not ending up as bycatch.
So what does their route actually look like? Where do they start and where do they end?
So they're coming from the ocean. They're kind of milling about out offshore for most of the winter, you know, maybe up as far as Nova Scotia, down to the Carolinas, thereabouts, but they're kind of just schooling around. And then they'll start running up maybe, you know, mid-April when it starts to warm up. They're looking for water temperature, which is one of their biggest like trips as to when they have to start coming. Sometimes they come earlier, sometimes they come later. For the most part, mid-April, we start to see them in pretty good numbers. And they'll come uptown Brook. They'll run through, you know, up and over this dam via the fish ladder, out through Jenny Pond, then they're just going up to Billington Sea, and that's their ultimate destination. It's a relatively short run comparatively, you know, just under about 2 miles.
Do you see other wildlife coming through here besides the herring?
So the herring are really the only fish that are targeted for this. We have seen other fish in here basically because we have that camera and we can see them, but for the most part, that ladder is really made for the herring. It's a diadromous fish ladder, so it can help different species, you know, up and downstream. For the most part, it really is targeted for herring. The fish that we were seeing swim through here when we first got here were all herring. Yeah, we knew that.
And how do you think like the herring run brings the community together?
I think Townbrook is a really interesting run, and I think the biggest part is it's just so centrally located in Plymouth. It's right in like the heart of downtown, beautiful park downstream, which brings a lot of tourists. The run itself is always kind of like that kickoff to spring and the warmer weather coming. People are getting outside. And because this is like the herring run from the Pilgrim days, like these are the herring that Squanto showed them how to fertilize their crops with, right? So there's a lot of history behind it. And I think that in of itself brings people here. But I mean, ever since, you know, we were growing up as kids, we always knew about the herring run. It was just sort of like a part of being in Plymouth. Every spring the herring run, you go down and see the herring, and it's because you can go downstream and see the herring all queued up below the dam, or you can stay here and you can see the herring go through this camera box. It's really right in front of you, where you can actually look at it and appreciate it and not just kind of hear about it or know that, yeah, there's a herring run over there, but because of access, it's, you know, you can't really see it. But right here, it's, you know, you look down right now and there's literally fish schooling right in front of us. So it's right in front of you, and I think you can really get a handle and a grasp on just how unique that migration really is.
If you'd like to volunteer or learn more, email Nate at ncristofari@plymouthma.gov. There are benefits to being over 50. Just one of them is Senior College, a partnership program between Bridgewater State University and the Plymouth Center for Active Living. Registration is now open for the winter-spring session, where for the small fee of only $85, you can take as many in-person or virtual courses as your interest and time allows. Learn in a relaxed environment from leading scholars and experts in classes as varied as history, origami, what's happening up on Beacon Hill, and lots more to choose from. Register for a course, or 2, or 3 by visiting www.bridgew.edu/seniorcollege or call 508-531-2570. Those of us of a certain age remember well the blizzard of 1978, the historic 3-day nor'easter that paralyzed New England, New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, shutting down day-to-day life and causing more than 100 fatalities. On March 7th, join local author Alan Earls at the Adams Center for the Blizzard of 78 Remembered, a program beginning at 6 p.m. Author of 2 books on the blizzard and its effects, Alan's presentation will showcase local images and discuss his personal experience during the storm. Register via the Kingston Public Library's website. Viola Davis stars in The Woman King, an historical action drama set in West Africa of the 1820s. General Naniska must lead the Agoje into battle to protect the kingdom of Dahomey. The Agoje is an all-female unit of warriors, one of the few documented female armies in modern history. On February 27th, the Pembroke Public Library invites you to a 1:30 p.m. showing of this critically praised 2022 film based on true events. Visit the library's website to learn more. Take a step towards springtime with the gardening program Explore Seed Varieties at the Plymouth Public Library on March 1st at 6:30 p.m. Featuring the library's library of seeds, you'll be able to learn about the differences between their flavors and various growing needs, and be among the first to take home some of the rarest seeds the library has to offer. Visit the website to register online. If you've been curious about solar energy and its potential use for your home, consider attending the free educational presentation and discussion on the topic on Thursday, March 2nd at the Jones River Landing in Kingston. Shedding Light on Solar Energy for Your Home is a 1-hour seminar beginning at 5:30 p.m. Presented by Fred Paris of Plymouth Solar Energy and the Wind Sun Institute, topics will include the variables of solar design, types of systems, tax credits and incentives, a residential financial model, and more. Seating is limited. Email capri@plymouthsolarenergy.com to register. If you heat your home with gas, the state has some good news for you. The Massachusetts Department of Public Utilities has ordered utility companies to lower the price of natural gas to their customers, a drop you'll soon see reflected in your monthly bill. The DPU estimates that an average household could see a 4 to 5% drop for the period beginning February 1st, depending on usage. This translates to relief of about $11 per month for National Grid customers and $33 per month for those using Eversource. Supply rates usually change twice a year, but the DPU can, by law, order a supply rate adjustment when there's a large market fluctuation in natural gas prices, like there was this year, which caused utilities to overcollect from customers. Assuming the price of natural gas remains stable, these new rates will be in place until May 1st. And that is what's good and good to know on the local scene this week. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. We are grateful for your attention. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe to the local scene here and share everywhere. Thank you, friends.